Nigerians continue to
Tonight, the city of Lagos went agog as all routes.
Be the first to know from the north, south, east, west, and around Africa. We break the news.
one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core
Our
TV
24-hour news station.
Thank you so very much for staying the course on the show today. It's Core Digest as we ask the all-important question: if in the middle of the bomb spray in Nigeria, is a Armageddon nearby? Big question, and that's exactly what we're talking about. I have a lawyer and a public affairs analyst with me, Malachy Ugwumadu. Thank you very much for staying the course on the show today. And of course, a security expert, Richard Amuwa. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Join us today. Now, you heard in the news about a massive recruitment ongoing in the Nigerian army. It brings to mind what happened during the Biafran War, where each state now had to call on the people to come join the army, you know, in the ongoing fight. How strategic do you think this is in the fight against terrorism?
For me, as a security person, this is the worst strategy ever to use to employ or to train upcoming new generation of Nigerian army, in the sense that you see, I have spoken up before, especially when it comes to issue of security in Nigeria, that we have two categories of security. We have occupational security and we have professional security. Occupational security are the fact that I don't have a job, so I need to take up this job to feed my family and to be alive. Why a professional security is somebody who is ready to die. Like most men move to the north, they're not professional. Definitely, they were not professional. Those are the guys that carry arms against the GOC. But right now, for you to come on air or for you to advertise that, okay, we want to advertise, we want to recruit Nigerians to Nigerian army so that they go fight war. It's more like, well, I was about 2 years old when when Biafra was fought, and I'm from that area too. So it's not a story I want to tell on air, because it's something that you don't want to hear about. But sincerely, how many families will allow their kids to go to Nigeria army at this point?
But you heard them say that these people must be ready to go to northeastern Nigeria.
So
don't you think that Nigeria needs to cash on people like that who have the mind, the guts?
But the question I want to tell you is that is it that we don't have Nigerian army presently, those in the army presently who has gone to war, who has gone to Liberia, who has gone to Ethiopia, who has gone to every other part of Africa to go and secure those African countries, see in Nigerian army to go for security. You see, I keep saying it, I'll keep saying it. We need to stop playing politics in this war of Boko Haram. If we continue like this, there's it wasn't a retired military officer from America that came to say that even the Nigerian army are afraid, that the citizens are afraid. Everybody's afraid in Nigeria. So if the army is afraid, so who? Is it the young guys you are going to just train for how many days? It takes a whole lot of process to become an army officer, ready to die for our nation. Now, you are advertising. For example, I'd like to assume I have a son of age that want to be in an army, and you are telling me that that guy is going to go to northeast to go and fight. Definitely what I'm talking about.
The Nigerian army, Malachy, is talking about replacing the dead. Do you tell us part too?
Well, I think this development offers us an opportunity to remain introspective, in the sense that when you adopt such a panicky position, you unwittingly expose the status of that institution. What we are gradually being told, for those who can read between the lines, is that the Nigerian state, albeit the Nigerian army, is presently overwhelmed. Not just in terms of the casualty figure they are recording, but in terms of the morale and the logistics of dealing with this insurgency. Don't forget, one of the reasons that has been advanced already is that they need to recoup and replace the manpower that they have already lost. Now, let's take these things one after the other. If you go publicly and announce, and like my brother did say, there are thousands. In short, when you say apply for any post, not even military, even if it's immigration the other day, you will get more than 100,000 above the figure you are looking for. All of them will now list and enlist in this process. But the most dangerous aspect of this ad hoc, panicky exercise will be that if we are not careful, even Boko Haram elements
will be enlisted as well.
Will infiltrate the Nigerian army, and we will graduate from what your president said, that he knows that they are in his cabinet. They will actually be in his own army. And that would be the last bus stop before the anarchy. Now, another aspect of it is to say, we're students of history. We have been in this business trying to interpret and interrogate even the thinking of the leadership of this country. They are getting it wrong. Only yesterday, and I have issued a statement on that, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in endorsing the resolution for the proclamation of state of emergency, gave 8 conditions. That exercise, as far as I'm concerned, predicating the endorsement of the extension for proclamation of it is illegal. It's illegal when you read section 305, the entire 305. When you read it, you'll find that it is illegal. There is nowhere in the Constitution, even as amended, where the National Assembly, no less the Senate, is empowered to give conditions for that exercise of power. There is nowhere there. They cannot proclaim, they can only review or revoke. If you cannot proclaim, you cannot be seen to be giving condition for the extension. Now, I have made this point because that particular, one of the conditions given is what you are just reading out, between yesterday and today. And as a political analyst, we find a way of interrogating why this trend is happening. Because if you read carefully and understand carefully how it's moving, you'll be able to predict where they are going to. One of the conditions is to recruit, that the president should recruit en masse members of this civil public, particularly the civilian JTF, and give them emergency training. It's almost like, and I'm happy my colleague as a security expert did, expose the poverty of that kind of exercise. To say that, look, there are occupational and professional. As far as Nigeria is concerned, the entire population of this country are occupational soldiers. In short, if you don't enlist as a full soldier, you enlist as a contractor.
That's right.
You will be able to organize those who will provide food. You will be able to organize seminars for those who are coming, and so on and so forth. Now, as a lawyer, it is by far most abhorrent to think of legislating or creating a law because of a singular particular person or a singular particular situation. If you do that without looking comprehensively and holistically in that aspect of our human activities, you will shoot yourself in the legs once that person is out or that situation ceases to exist. And therefore, if you have managed, apart from the point I have made that even the Boko Haram, they are smart people. Yeah. And what they have shown is that they are thinking they are
step ahead.
And so if you deny that it can't happen in Abuja, we'll give you two yaya. And before you know it, we are stretching the same army. And if you reconcile that with the mutiny that occurred in Borno, you are beginning to confirm what you have read that these officers are saying. I feel, and this is painfully, that you see the contradictions that led us to this situation are playing themselves out. PDP is accusing APC for going on as though they never had a more insensitive situation. In short, only recently, the president, and mark my words, the president ran away from the idea of visiting Chibok. Indeed, they had confirmed to the international media organizations that the president was on his way to Chibok. it was the fear and the effect of that mutiny, where the soldiers are already turning against their own commanding officer, that aborted that visit. The effort, hopeless as it was, by Kupe and Co., to rationalize why he had to...
That it was neither, it has never been in the presidential itinerary
doesn't quite
Chibok.
add up. I mean, in the video, he said, take that to the Marine. It doesn't add up. It is consistent with the lines that they have managed to, with which they patch these situations, and by which they infuriate the populace, knowing that the truth is naked. We can all see it.
That's right.
So, I don't see a serious nation. Yes, it is true that these are difficult times. Yes, it is true that these are sensitive situations. But I am beginning to wonder whether the challenge is not even more than what we're already witnessing.
It's all right. Let's move ahead from there, Richard. We saw the obvious division, political division in the fight against terrorism. Is that the APC is accusing PDP or otherwise? There seems to be, there is no a coherent effort coming from political parties in Nigeria.
Yes.
So what's the implication of this?
The implication is that the Boko Haram will be thriving in it. When the Democrats were fighting the insurgency in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Republicans too, everybody in the House, they all put their votes and said, this is a fight, Americans must fight and win. You see, I have been on radio, on TV, and I keep saying it, I said, the problem, just like Barrister said, we are the problem, Nigerians. We just sit back and we see things go. Go online right now and see what is happening online. You just ask yourself, is it that people don't see what is happening? Can you read between the lines? Wars in Africa that has happened in Africa was caused by politicians. Politicians are greedy, they are wicked, they are self-centered, they don't look behind their nose. Sincerely. And Africa, thank God for democracy that have come to stay in Nigeria. But truly and truly, with what is happening right now, we expected the two big parties. APC have been saying that they want to join PDP to see how we go. But to me, I think it's late. As we are talking right now, maybe Barrister will help me to analyze or help us to analyze it later. If you say you're declaring a state of emergency in a state, we know that we are under democracy and other stuff, that the governor will have to stay, the House of Assembly have to stay. But with the kind of war that is going on right now, it does not call for total emergency
in those states?
In those states. Because right now, the way it is right now, those states belong to opposition party. Why the ruling party feel that they want to tread softly or something? To me, I feel that all hands must be on deck at this time. Sincerely. If we say we are bringing the Americans, the Israelis, the British and other stuff to come and help us, sincerely, Nigerians themselves, we ourselves would need to.
We're talking about the role of Nigerians in all of this. Don't you think the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls, we've seen on TV, Nigerians coming out, saying, speaking out, and ensuring that government is on its toes to make things happen. Isn't that the right direction as well?
Bring back our girls. What has it brought back the girls? No, that's the question I ask everybody.
How involved do you think the Nigerian people really can be?
How involved? It's to ask the president and his team to bring back the guys. That's the point. It's not being just on online or I quite appreciate what Dr. Ezekwesili is doing. As of today, I think they are going to Aso Rock. That's part of the movement I'm talking about here. If we need to go, as of today now, the NUT, that's National Union of Teachers, said they're going to close down schools. Fine, those are the things we're talking about. Sincerely, this issue of Boko Haram, until Nigerians, until all of us say, like PDP was accusing APC of holding rally in Ekiti yesterday, while the bomb blast in Jos, forgetting that the same PDP, shortly after Yanya, Mr. President was dancing Azunto at Kano and Ibadan. But the point here is a wrong direction. So Nigerians were saying things. Business is going as usual. If one American is killed in the war front, what happened? We must get to the root of what happened. But here in Nigeria, it's like nothing happened. All we keep saying, we condemn. How long are we going to stop condemning and do what is needful?
Barrister, NUT closing down schools for a day. Some are saying that that exactly is what Boko Haram wants.
Yes.
How do you react to that?
Well, there are two sides to it, in the sense that the NUT, the National Union of Teachers, represents that sensitive sector of our nationhood. And if you say that is what Boko Haram wants, you may partially be correct. But I think that the message sought to pass, and I'm sure that message recorded a resounding victory today, because I'm aware as a parent that most schools have been closed down in Lagos,
Yes.
including public schools.
Today, as of today.
And therefore, the message that is sent to the government of Nigeria is that, look, we are no longer amused. We cannot continue with this show of shame in which a tiny insurgency group is holding the federal might to ransom and attacking the same institution that we represent. That to a large extent, it has become practically impossible for colleagues and students in that region of the country to freely access education. And that if that is the case, we are going to take one drastic step just so to register it beyond their avowals that it has become impossible for us to remain relevant and to protect this sensitive bedrock threshold aspect of nationhood, which is education. And that the only way to do it is to go beyond issuing press statements and then to pull out our services momentarily, if only to show the government that we are serious, since they no longer understand any other language
I'll be back
other
with
than
you,
industrial language.
Barrister. It's Core Digest coming to you from Core TV News live from Lagos, and we would love to bring you into our live studios. All you need to do is drop your comments on our Facebook wall. It's www.facebook.com/Core TV News. And we can also hear from you on our Twitter handle at Core TV News NG, as well as you get to watch previous edition and of course the present edition of Core Digest on YouTube at www.youtube.com/Core TV, leave a space and news. Let's go a little bit back into history. Much reference has been made to the Berlin Conference that was held in 1884-85 that gave birth to the creation of state empires like Nigeria. Some are of the opinion that the fact that Nigeria was not found on pre-existing national identities, that certain white men just sat at the table and divided the African map to meet their own economic needs with no regards to, the sovereignty of nations, no regards to tradition and culture. Richard, 100 years after the amalgamation, do you think it's too late to hold another conference? Some are saying that the African elites, at that time when they had the political power, should have revisited what they termed the evil Berlin Conference.
My brother, if the leadership is working, we will not go to all this. It's a simple thing. I'm from Niger Delta State. My mom is from Anambra State. My wife is from Osun State. Tell me, I've been married for 18 years. My mom, and before my dad was late, I think they were married for many years. The point here is that so many of us today, Yoruba, marrying ourselves, it's the failure of leadership, my brother. I've said it to so many people. It's not about, let's assume the mistake was there before, but right now, you still have to miss. If, for example, we have a leadership that is doing what is right, do you think we need what we call this national conference that is ongoing? No. I was coming this morning. The reason I came very late to the studio, the present Lagos State governor is working, towards all the faculty everywhere, the routes and all that thing. And I said, good, fine. But I keep seeing people rejoicing, saying they are building roads, they are doing that. I said, this is government responsibility. That is what we're supposed to be given. But the point here is that, sincerely to me, as a professional, and I keep saying it, the Nigeria today, the way we are fine, is just the fact that we have bad leadership. That's why we are crying this wolf today. Sincerely. I've lived in the north, peaceful then, I live in the southeast, south. So in Nigeria, we are brothers. We love one another. Sincerely, it's just that the bad leadership is what is happening right now. That's my own personal opinion, though.
Not quite a number of people will agree with you. Barrister, how integral do you think these, because 100 years after amalgamation, we're still talking about ethnic nationalities at the ongoing national conference. How do you think these issues, how integral are they to the ongoing challenge of insecurity in Nigeria?
Well, there is a very robust perception out there that the fraud that was conceived in 1914 by the colonial masters was only perpetrated just so to meet the economic exigencies of those people. But we had carried on with that lie up until when we started also telling ourselves the same lie by creating constitutions that we never made and forcing ourselves under those legal instruments. But you see, there is no way we can discountenance what my colleague has said. Most great nations are not monolithic in nature. They are not homogeneous. The United States of America that people pride themselves and rate as the best is a union of so many nationalities.
Yep.
And the fusion, the capacity to moderate the excesses and then harness the potentials of all of those differences is what makes the United States what it is. Therefore, some of us are better persuaded to believe that even as we stand, even as we are presently constituted, we stand a better chance of developing into a world power much more than when we are balkanized.
That's right.
A lot of coincidence this morning. We both came lately. That's a bad one. He says he's from Delta. I will just realize we're from the same part of Delta State. She's married to a Yoruba woman. I'm also married to Kwara State woman. Lived in the north, yes, we've done that, and so on and so forth. What has become very clear is that if we had visionary leadership, people that, and unfortunately this is in a very short supply. Look at our respective presidents. They were virtually people who were not interested
in governance.
In governance. I mean, take a look at what it took in recent history, Obama, to emerge as. I remember the uphill campaign that Barack Obama had with Hillary Clinton as both presidential candidates of the Democrats.
Yeah.
I was so enamored with the intensity of the debate that I did an article out of the quotes made by Bill Clinton when he was supporting his own wife against Barack Obama prior to the primaries. And he was admonishing the American people. You see, Barack may be a wonderful guy, but we have seen and tested Hillary Clinton. Barack, as far as he was concerned, was the symbol and not the agent of change. And that it was the agent of change that every person should keep behind, that is the wife. But you see, the intensity, the veracity,
and the preparedness,
the zeal and zest with which Barack mobilized, prosecuted, galvanized, and carried on his dreams were such that even the blind could see, the deaf could hear. It was palpable, you could touch it. And I'm saying, Shehu Shagari, for instance, never. He had already collected forms to go to Senate. The present president is only good when he's deputizing. And an uncle of mine said, look, why are we bothered about this situation? If you say, I don't know how he behaves, that much which you have seen is the totality of his
That's
behavior.
right.
We have seen Jonathan as an assistant director in Opadek. He had a very short stint in Uniport as an assistant lecturer. Mark Day was assistant director, assistant lecturer. He was a deputy governor, also assistant governor. He was governor after the misadventure of Olamese, who is now one of the people deciding what will happen in the national conference. He became governor. He was vice president. He was acting president. If Jonathan had vibes in terms of sophisticated leadership qualifications, we would have known.
That's right.
And so, when the time for his election came, I remember that I trekked with my dear wife from Festac to Surrey, where my chambers is, where we registered, campaigning to vote against this man. Not because we hated him. In short, we knew he will win because of the sentiments of that time.
The good luck tendency.
Yes.
I have no shoe.
Sentiments of Niger, no shoe, from minority. But look, all of those attributes, he has no shoe, he's a good listener, he listens to every person. All godfathers must talk and he must listen, including those who are dead. He doesn't like rocking the boat. He is not in a haste. Wait a minute. These are clear deficits in relation to the kind of leadership that we need now.
And not
We want, and I'm running up here, we want a president, a leader who is in a haste. He must be in a haste because we have lost a lot of grounds. As I speak with you today, I have made the point that all the variables that will secure an implosion are here with us. Just go outside and just say Boko Haram. Everybody's running.
That's right. Like what happened in Lagos last week.
He must not only be in a haste, he must be prepared to rock the boat, to step on toes. You cannot afford to listen to all including the criminals you have surrounded yourselves with.
Well, the statistics were clear in 2011 that majority of the Nigerian people voted good luck Jonathan. So that's not a subject of debate here.
Yeah, for sure.
He won the election
we're not
outrightly.
and
it meant that the Nigerian people voted for him if we're going to follow by the statistics of the papers. But let's get back to the issue of regional-based resource control. Many were of the opinion that at that point in our history as a nation, there was development. Most of the infrastructures we have now were planted at those times, especially in the western region. Don't you think that that also might be the reason why people are calling for what happened in USSR, what happened in Yugoslavia, that might be the way out of the challenge in Nigeria?
Yes, that brings us back again to the leadership we're talking about, and for Nigeria to wise up. Then again, from Delta State, I schooled in Ondo State because my uncle happened to be a school principal then in the Midwestern state. All through my primary and secondary school, I was in Owo, Ondo State, free education, offered by Obafemi Awolowo as a young boy. But the truth of the matter is that, how many property did Awolowo leave behind today? Nnamdi Azikiwe.
As an individual.
As an individual, all those guys, they were to serve people. I grew up to thinking I want to be like Awolowo. That was my dream, a hero. Today, how many of our kids want to be like any of our leaders? You know what? I go to school to educate children on the issue of security. And I ask children, what do you want to become when you grow up? I want to become a senator. Why? Because I want to be richer than my father. We have lost the value. The present leadership is all about money. And they have made us to think that it's money. Why am I saying all this? Then regional, because these guys were investing in the region. All they were doing is to invest in people, invest in their locality, their community. Do you know that Ibori today is in prison simply because he left Nigeria? If Ibori is in Nigeria, Ibori will be working free. The point is that the money Ibori amass. If you go to my community in Delta State today, I'm telling you that there's no light. The money alone could have a plant in Delta alone, from where he came from, where I came from, all as different as we are in Delta. But is there any development except roads and some few light posts and what do you call this thing that give us light now? What's it called again? Solar plant. Finish. That's all we can see. So what we see, Nigerians are agitating for this because there's bad leadership. And that's why the president just said, we need to start looking at, let's forget about sentiment. Let's forget about whether it's a Christian or it's a Muslim. Like what is happening in Lagos State now, that said the next person must be a Christian. I said, I don't care if he's a Christian. Richard Amuwa, born into Catholic. Do you know that I attended a Muslim school and Saudi primary school? Or what? I still say Bismillah till tomorrow. I can still say all those things. But I'm a Christian. But I still believe that there's one Jesus, one God. But that doesn't mean that those who believe in Allah, they are not saved too. But how come suddenly today, people are divided? It is because of bad leadership. I'm not that old though. I'm seeing this generation. So it doesn't look like maybe I'm 60 or close to my 60. No, I'm seeing my mid 40. So I've seen it growing up. So what we're saying here is today that let's have that leadership. Sincerely, like I said, when I didn't vote for this present government because I saw it coming. I've read and I've seen that no, who will be the president of this country? Somebody that is aggressive, somebody that have the passion, somebody that is ready to die for this country. But like he said off camera, that we Nigerians, we are the problem because we are not ready to sacrifice yet. Until we're ready to sacrifice, that's when our leader will know that these people are fed up.
As we begin to round up now, let's check out the standard criteria for nationhood as agreed by scholars. Number one, a defined territory, a common language, same psychological trait, and of course a common history. Juxtapose Nigeria against all of these. What does it give us?
Well, look, I'm a lawyer and with very serious, intense interest in political economy. What you have defined speaks only to a nation. A nation is different from a country.
Okay.
You could have so many nations in one country.
Yeah.
And that is why Nigeria is appropriately a nation state. Just as you have in India, just as even in the United States. There are so many nations
in Nigeria.
The state of Nigeria.
Okay.
And so this is why it has become, or rather it became imperative by great leaders and thinkers when we were toying with the idea of what manner of government are we going to adopt. The whole concept of federalism is such that it's conceived to accommodate what you have just defined. If you look at the Yorubas largely, you will see the Yoruba is a nation within the Nigerian state. They have commonality in language, commonality in culture, and largely religion. Of course, territorial contiguity. The same thing applies to the north and to the east. Now, what that means is that these are nations in the state of Nigeria. The only way by which you can secure effective governance is if you practice true federalism. The same federalism that was not effectively practiced when the Malachy Commission came up before independence to accommodate the fears of the minority who felt that their own interests were not effectively protected. There is nothing wrong in having a nation state as we have. And like I said earlier, it actually is one of the catalysts of greatness in nation building. But if you mismanage it, you cause an implosion. And that is what is happening here today. Now, let's look at it this way. Federalism as a concept of, as a style of government, recognizes, juxtaposition of state powers along different tiers of government. And therefore, if you allow federalism to thrive like it thrived in the First Republic, the kind of development that you recorded, where, like he said, Awolowo was building free education and it became the envy of the entire nation, where other nations were in competition, hoping that they could emulate, those kind of things inspire development rapidly in such a way that you could have a nationwide outburst. You release the energy of the people in the direction of constructive development. But if you claim that you are practicing federalism, when you are indeed operating unitary system of government like we are doing presently, you will just be bottling the anger. There will be serious pent-up anger, so that before you know it, people are asking questions, why can you in Abuja dictate what happens in Damaturu? How come an inspector of police in Abuja will realize that he will be able to manage the Calabar situation? What is it that is so peculiar about having one Supreme Court? In the First Republic in this country, we had different constitutions in this country. We had different courts of appeal in this country. That speaks to a functional federal government. So the fact that you call your constitution Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria does not actually mean that it's a federal. When the content itself is a unitary, the robe they say does not make the monk.
We're running out of time now. Richard, I just want to have your final comment. The Deputy Senate President, Ugwumadu, has argued that those behind the insurgency are a common enemy. And he says that he has urged all Nigerians to close ranks with a view to stamping them out. How exactly are Nigerians involved? What role are the citizens of Nigeria to play?
Ugwumadu, Mark, have been, they call them ranking members of it. They've been there since 1999. Right. They should identify themselves first as the enemy, and then purge themselves of what they have, they've committed before they do.
They should tell us what to do. They should do that. Not just Nigerians alone. Nigerians are playing their part, but our leaders, which they belong to, they should tell us what to do, because Nigerians are ready to do.
Thank you very much for finding time to join us today. I've been speaking with Malachy Ugwumadu, who is a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. It's been a great time having you on the show today, as well as a security expert, Richard Amuwa. It's good to have you join us today. We hope that both of you will also find this place as a home and visit us often. That's been the show today. We are hopeful that all these happenings will be pangs of death and that it will give birth to a new dawn, a new season for our dear country, Nigeria. It's obvious that government is being overwhelmed. Of course, many are of the opinion that it is the constitutional right government as regards the welfare and the security of the people. But it's obvious that you and I do have a role to play, and we must engage actively in giving birth to the future of this great country, Nigeria. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Coming up shortly is the Court TV News on the Hour. Stay with us.
I don't think the election was actually... What are the people saying?
5 local government out of the 13 local government is more than many states in the north.
The economy is booming. Where is the economy booming? Bomb blast in Abuja.
Don't you have security?
Why are we fighting?
Presidency should not just sit in Abuja or in Asokoro or wherever he lives.
Tell us are sponsoring the Boko Haram. They know them.
Men cannot be there and be there at the same time.
The life of the citizens, community need to be protected.
It can't work out.
Bring the message of peace.
Let there be proper devolution of power from the center. The center is too powerful.
The people, only on Core TV News.